Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. Well, it looks like we're getting another round of buffs. This time it's for Torbjorn Symmetra, Bastion, and believe it or not, Diva. Although unconfirmed, I also feel that Sombra might be getting another buff pretty soon as well. Blizzard has said that they're slowly increasing her strength because they don't want to kind of overdo it like they did with Ana. But I do expect that there will be something new for Sombra down the pipeline pretty soon. So, starting with Torbjorn and Symmetra, there was a post on the official Overwatch forums asking about these two characters. Now, one of the problems that Overwatch had early on was that the players on PC are going to have much better aim than players on console. Now, before you get mad, this is simply due to the fact that a mouse is better for aiming than a controller is. In fact, this is the reason why almost all of the top 500 players on console are actually using mouse and keyboard to control their characters. Because of this aiming discrepancy between PC and console, it meant that the original version of Torbjorn and Symmetra were way too powerful on the console. Both of those heroes have a function of auto attack and auto aim, which meant that there was no actual disadvantage when using the controller. This created a problem. If Blizzard nerfed those heroes, then they might work for console, but then they would be too weak for the PC. So Blizzard decided to split up the balancing and make it so that the heroes could have different stats depending on if they were on the PC or if they were on the console. Another contributing factor to this whole problem was the fact that you could have 6 of a single hero on a team, and on console, 6 Torbjorn was almost unbeatable. So flash forward to today. A team can only have 1 of each hero, and the PC and the console versions are balanced separately. That means that those previous problems no longer exist. And it also means that the current version of Torbjorn and Symmetra on console are too weak. I would argue that they're also too weak on PC, but that's a whole nother issue. Unfortunately, it looks like the buffs that these two characters are getting are probably only going to happen on the console. Over on the forums, Jeff Kaplan had this to say. Regarding Torbjorn and Symmetra, we've been watching them closely. Up until recently, they were performing in lockstep with PC. Recently, they've begun to diverge a little bit, so we're taking a look at them now and we'll consider adjusting them. So, what this means is that first, console will probably see a slight buff to those two heroes, but the bad news is that Blizzard seems to be happy with where Torbjorn and Symmetra currently are on the PC. Which is unfortunate, because both of those characters are so bad that they almost never make an appearance in any of the high-end tournaments. If they do, it's very rare. Moving on to Bastion, another post on the Overwatch forums talked about how the character really hasn't been touched ever since beta. If you didn't play at that time, Bastion used to have a frontal shield and he could only turn halfway around. So it meant that the places where you could actually play the character were quite limited. Basically, you had to find a corner and sit there, and that was pretty much it. Everybody knew those corners, everybody knew where Bastion was going to be, and it created a problem. The changes that they made during the beta made him a little bit better, but he's still considered to be one of the worst characters in the game and is almost never picked in a tournament setting unless it's some sort of gimmicky surprise attack. Overwatch principal designer Jeff Goodman responded by saying, "I'm actually working on some changes for him right now. I'm not quite sure when these changes will hit the live game. We're still testing different things internally." So that's pretty cryptic. I don't think for a second they're going to give Bastion his shield back, so it's likely going to be something else. The problem with Blizzard's design for Bastion is that it runs completely counter to their overall design for the game. Overwatch is meant to be a fast-paced, high-mobility game with lots of action. A character like Bastion, who spends most of his time completely stationary, just doesn't work with that. Actually, if you look at a lot of the characters who tend to remain stationary, they have very low pick rates. Bastion, Torbjorn, Hanzo, and Widowmaker. Once those characters find a good position, they tend to just stay there. And that sort of playstyle just doesn't seem to work in Overwatch. The last character to get a buff is Diva. Yes, you heard that right, Diva. Although, I don't really think it's much of a buff. I don't know, it kind of feels more like a bug fix almost. I can't really put my finger on it. It's definitely an improvement, to be sure. So what happens is when Diva uses her defense matrix, sometimes the enemy can still do damage. Basically, if an enemy shoots the bullet has to travel a certain amount of distance, there's a minimum distance, before D.Va's defense matrix can actually destroy it. Most of the time, you're never going to notice this, but there are certain situations where you will. Like, for example, if an enemy Roadhog hooks a teammate and then follows up with a left click. Right now, on the live servers, if you use Defense Matrix, it will not keep your teammate alive. Roadhog's still going to kill him because he's too close to him. The fix that they're planning to put in on the next patch will make it so that all of the bullets from Roadhog's scrap gun will be destroyed instantly, and therefore your team will stay alive. There will be no travel distance. As soon as the bullets come out of the gun, D.Va's Defense Matrix will destroy them. Now, you might be asking, is this enough to counter the recent nerfs D.Va got? No, absolutely not. This is a very minor buff that is only going to be applicable in a very small number of situations. It will definitely be noticeable when it happens, but this is absolutely in no way going to make up for all of the nerfs that D.Va just recently got. I think most people would agree that there are currently a lot of issues with the balancing of heroes in Overwatch. And I actually have a really long, in-depth video that I'm working on that will discuss all of this and how to potentially fix it. It just seems to me that Blizzard is trying to balance the game in a way that just isn't working. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about all of these changes, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the new videos. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, share it with your friends. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.